I have to say that, I hear that song and it's like, thank you for the hard times. I want to be like, thank you for the hard times. Good morning. Here we grow again, right? Yeah, it's so good to see all of your beautiful faces here. I love this. I feel like it is so important to come together in community, no matter what. But I think especially during these times, it's good to come together in community. And I want to say thank you to Mary Hilsebeck-Huber for creating a safe space this morning in our 9:15 class time, a container in which anybody who wanted to come could come and share their feelings in a very non-judgmental way where there was no shame or guilt. There was just an opportunity to say, this is what I'm feeling. And the really cool thing about that was that what really came out of that was this desire to find our way back to center, this desire to really lean into how we can really live our principles in a bigger way and remember who we are and remember that we are made of love and remember that love is the answer and that our greatest opportunity that we have right now is to show up as that love in the biggest ways that we possibly can, right? So how are we feeling? Mixed, and that's okay. We live in some interesting times right now. And I want to acknowledge that there are those here today that are celebrating, and that's really great. Congratulations. I want to say we're happy for you. But we know that there are people here that are celebrating. But what I also know is that there are people who have really been struggling this week and who have been really hurting. And I've been in contact with numerous people. I've just seen it on Facebook. And so what I want to say right off today is that this talk today is not about burying our head in the sand. We do not promote that here at Unity. It's not about putting just a happy face on that everything feels good right now, because it doesn't feel good to so many people. And so this talk is not about that today at all. But what I really want to say is, for those who are struggling during this time, that I see you and I feel you, and that I'm here for you. And for those, especially because, for me, I am a married, white, straight, middle class female that is beyond childbearing age. And so I'm not having some of the fears that some of my other spiritual, especially family and friends, are having right now. And I want to acknowledge that their fears are real. And we are here for you. That hopefully you know that coming into this place, that you are loved and you are seen and that you are absolutely supported, and we will stand by you and we will stand up for you. Absolutely 100%. Okay, so I wanted to talk for a few moments about this whole idea of feeling our feelings, because sometimes it doesn't feel spiritual, right? To feel when we're down in the muck, right? It's okay. So I'm going to share with you something that's a little bit more of a fundamental take, not a big, strong fundamental take on it, but this is inspired by the Psalms and the prophets, and this is by Walter Brueggemann, who's an Old Testament scholar. And he says, and so we're going to talk about lamentation. And lamentation is the passionate expression of grief or sorrow or weeping. And he says that lamentation, allowing ourselves to feel the grief, is a necessary expression of faith. That it's okay. It's okay that we're feeling what we're feeling. And that's the very first thing that I wanted to hit on today, that it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. He says, particularly in times of suffering, injustice, or loss. Far from being a simple airing of grievances, lamenting acknowledges the pain of life and invites divine compassion, forging a space for healing and transformation. Is there anybody here who has never grieved? Is there anybody here who has never felt angry and frustrated and mad and scared? We've all felt that, right? Because we're in our humanness, we're in our human experience. And I love because Mary reminded us this morning through the book by Marianne Williamson that the greater reality of us is untouched. That greater reality of us is great, but we're in a body, right? And we're living a life and we're with our human emotions. So we feel those emotions. So he gives us 5 ideas on how to move through this lamentation, through this experience of grief. He said, first of all, express honest emotion. That lamentation enables people to express raw, unfiltered emotions like anger, grief, and despair, which are often suppressed in religious settings. But he said that this honest expression allows believers to be genuine in their relationship with God rather than pretending that everything is fine. And that's why I say I will not spiritually bypass this experience and put a happy face on when people are really experiencing these emotions. I'm not just going to say to them, "Oh, don't worry, everything's working working for the greater good." I do believe that, but I'm not going to tell them that right now. I'm going to be with them where they are, and then eventually we're going to find our way to that. Number 2 is protest against injustice. That lamentation serves as a form of protest against injustice, oppression, and suffering. By crying out and lament, the faithful challenge circumstances that feel incompatible with the nature of a just and loving God, right? Yeah, absolutely. Number 3, movement towards hope. While lamentation begins with expressions of grief and anger, it is ultimately a path to hope and transformation. The act of lamenting can create space for renewal as it acknowledges present pain while opening the door to the possibility of a different and redeemed future. Now, what I want to say here is that class this morning, that people were able to lament and to share what they were feeling. But at the same time, there were others who were able to remind everybody else that, hey guys, we do have this opportunity to come back together. We do have this opportunity to heal and acknowledge that this is where I may be right now, but I'm working to get to this next place. Number 4, community solidarity. Shared lament fosters unity, reminding people they are not alone and there's a collective power in bringing shared pain to light. For those of us who were in class this morning, wouldn't you agree with that? Yeah, absolutely. And then number 4 is restoring divine relationship. Lamentation strengthens a divine human relationship by making it dynamic and interactive. By expressing disappointment, confusion, or anger to God, believers engage in a two-way relationship that sees God as a participant in human struggles and not as a distant deity. And I love that. In the Bible, there's a story of King Jehoshaphat. And King Jehoshaphat was told that these armies were coming for them, and he freaked out, and he ranted, and he raved, and he grieved, and it was only then that he could find his way back to center and to pray, and the words that he heard were, "The battle is not yours, it's God's." The battle is not yours. It's God's. And this is where we want to get back to today, my friends, is getting out of the ego mind and getting back to center. And here's what I want to say, because I know there's many people here today that I don't recognize that may be here for the first time, that in Unity, we don't try to tell you what God is or who God is, that you develop that relationship with the God of your understanding. But we do believe that God is love and God is good and God is always expansion, and that we are one in God, that there is no separation. And so, the battle is not ours, quote unquote, and I don't even want to say the battle because that's just old languaging, but that the opportunity is really moving back into this place, into this center. So the daily word for the day after the election, it said this: I remind myself that divine order is always unfolding, ways I cannot know, and at a pace I cannot control. Knowing this, I am assured that whatever is happening now has also come to pass. So let me ask you, in all honesty, how many of us have been going, wow, this feels like everything's in divine order? Yeah. So let's talk for a moment about divine order. So when I first started coming to church here about 36, 37 years ago, about a year into it, I decided to meet with the then minister because my then husband and I, which by the way, Jane Simmons or Gary Simmons, one of them calls them the husband, my husband, we were having financial issues and it was affecting our relationship. So I decided to come to get some counseling and some guidance. And so I sat down and I kind of I lamented, shared what was going on. And the minister just looked at me and said, Sue, everything is in divine order. I was like, what are you talking about? Everything is in divine order because this does not feel like divine order at all. And again, this minister just looked at me and said, everything is in divine order. And I have to admit that when I left there, it really didn't help me much because at that time, this person did not, expand on that. And I felt confused, how, if everything is in divine order, why does it feel like such chaos? Why does it hurt so much? Why is there so much fear and pain in that? So from a pamphlet called Divine Order, by the longtime Unity minister, Reverend Jim Rosemergy, he tells us there is law and there is order. Okay, so let's start with divine law. Divine laws, we know that they are steadfast and they are constant. They are eternal, they are dependable, like that which created them, and they never change. And we learn about these laws in Unity all the time, right? This is one of the basic elements of what we teach here in Unity. And and we talk about learning to work with the laws, right? Okay, now he talks about there's two kinds of order. There is one rooted in human consciousness, which I would say is our ego, and its fruit doesn't necessarily support truth. And that, for instance, some of the fruits, if you want to call them fruits, of this order are war and hatred and prejudice and discrimination. But he says that the other type of order, that which we would call divine order, has its beginnings in God, has its beginnings in this kingdom, this divine space within us in which we can access all of what we would call the qualities of God. So this order has its beginnings in God. And he says this order is a seed whose harvest is what we would call, in the Bible says, are the fruits of the Spirit. And so this order would bring about love and joy and peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. In other words, my friends, we are the vessels that bring about divine order in our lives and in the world around us. And we do that by going within. We do that by seeking first the kingdom of God and not just coming from our human consciousness and trying to fix the world around us. I'm going to ask, how's that been working for us? Right. And we talk about this all the time. We constantly are talking about how important it is to have the daily practices that bring us back to this place and remind us of what is really in charge here. And it's not my human consciousness. But here's the thing, too, that I want to say, that doing this work is not just about your life. I was thinking that if we were in a completely darkened room that fit about 100 people, and so we're all in there, there's 100 of us, and one person in the middle lights a candle. There's a little bit of light then, right, in this darkened room. I mean, it's still mostly dark. But if then that person lights the candles of the people around them, then there's a little bit more light in the room. Still a lot of darkness, but there's more light. But then if those people start lighting the candles of the people around them, then there's more light, and it becomes an exponential thing because there's more people whose lights are going to get lit. I'm not telling you to go get lit, technically, but I am telling you to do that. And soon the room is filled with light, right? You cannot go into a room and turn on the dark. Do you know of any dark switches? They're light switches. Light will always overcome the darkness. And so when we choose to bring the qualities of God into our daily experience, it absolutely affects those around us. And as Marianne Williamson said, unconsciously gives other people permission to do the same. Because when we're showing up in that place of love and connection, a desire to, and honestly, you guys, I really sincerely do believe that most Americans, we're tired of the division. I believe that most of us really desire to have a more peaceful experience with each other. I believe that with my entire being, that is true. It's just that the news brings out so much of the other, right? But I really sincerely believe we're tired of it. And so we want to find a way back to each other so we're not experiencing the other, but we're experiencing each other. That's a big difference, isn't it? To experience each other. So, Charles Fillmore, from the book Atom Smashing Power of the Mind, says the great and most important issue before the people today is the development of man's spiritual mind, and through it, unity with God. The taproot of all our confusion is our failure to use our mind intelligently. We can only think as God would have us think by adjusting our thoughts to what? Divine ideas. When we're in the muck, are we focused on divine ideas? No. And again, it's okay, because we're going to come up out of the muck. But to focus on divine ideas. Religion and all that it implies in prayer and recognition of God in idea and manifestation is the one and only way out of the chaos in which we find ourselves. We must therefore begin at once to develop this unity with the, and I'm going to say mother, father mind, by incorporating divine ideas into all that we think and all that we speak. We are being called. We are being called in bigger ways than we've ever been called, right? We are. We are being called to stand in and live what we know to be true more than we ever have before. And guess what? We can do hard things. We can do this. We can be that. Now, are we always going to be there all the time? No. And it's okay. You know, that's life. We kind of go through the valley of the shadow. But I've always loved, I heard a minister years ago say, just don't buy real estate down there in the valley. You know, the idea is we're going through it and we're coming up on the other side. And as I shared last week, if we believe what we say we believe here, that our thoughts, words, and actions affect our reality, which, do we believe that? Yes. Do we believe that? Yes, thank you. Then what is our pre-painting something that hasn't happened yet or may not even happen? What is that supporting? What am I putting into the collective consciousness? The very thing that I don't want to experience, right? So you all know what pre-painting is? Yeah. It's bringing something into now that hasn't even happened. Anybody ever do that? Waste energy and time on that? Yeah, absolutely. Again, this doesn't mean that we bury our head in the sand, but here's the thing. When we seek to know and live more deeply the qualities of God, then whatever happens, we are going to be able to be present to it in a more empowered way. That is just a fact. That when we are doing our internal work, when we are doing the spiritual work, then whatever is going to come up for us, we're going to be much more centered and empowered. And we're going to deal with things differently because we're not going to find ourselves having to fight, right? We're going to find ourselves being able to stand up for. So, all of y'all, if you got it, have a golden key maybe in your hand, little golden key when you came in. You know, I thought I knew where my talk was going to go this week, and I just want you to know I wasn't feeling any pressure this week at all on what I was going to talk about today. Whew. But this is actually something that Emmett Fox, who was a well-known and respected New Thought leader, a great metaphysician, a writer, and he lived from 1886 to 1951. Such as Sermon on the Mount, the Ten Commandments, and many others. But this is actually a tiny little pamphlet that for as long as I've been in Unity, which is like 37 years, has been around. So it's one of those timeless pamphlets. And the pamphlet is actually called The Golden Key. So I have it up on the screen, but I'm going to be reading some of this to you. So essentially what the Golden Key is, it's focused attention upon God. And the reason that I got these little keys is just to serve as a visible reminder for us, because these are small enough to put in a pocket. You can put them in your purse, you can put them in your car, something to remind us to get back to center, something to remind us to get back to knowing what we want to focus on. So he starts by saying God is omnipresent, and we are created in the image and likeness and have dominion over all things. Do you know what that includes? Our thoughts, words, and actions, right? We are created to have dominion over those things. This is the inspired teaching and to be taken quite literally. The ability to draw on this power is not the special prerogative of the mystic or the saint, as is so often supposed, or even the highly trained. We all have this ability. Yes. We are empowered. We have this ability. He says, whoever you are, wherever you may be, the golden key to harmony is in your hand right now. This is because in scientific prayer, it is God who works. It is love who works. It is source. It's the universe, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call this, and not you. And so your particular limitations or weaknesses are of no account in the process. You are only the channel through which the divine action takes place, and your treatment will be just getting yourself out of your own way. Is right. Getting ourselves out of our own way. He says, right within your own mentality, there lies a source of energy stronger than electricity, more potent than high explosive, unlimited and inexhaustible. And I want us to hear, because I know that we're tired right now. But there is an aspect of us that can never be tired. There's an aspect of us that is that inexhaustible power of God within us. You only need to make conscious contact with this power to set it working in your affairs. And all the marvelous results enumerated can be yours. This is the real meaning of such sayings as in the Bible, the kingdom of God is within you. And seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things will be added unto you. The power of God is within you. The transformative power of God is within you. And as we've talked about over and over again, who is the only one that can affect change in your world? Right. We cannot wait for anybody else to do it. I feel like we have been being prepared for a long time for this. We've been talking about this for quite a while, haven't we? And here we are at this place where now, oh my gosh, I've got to live it now. I've been hearing it for months. She's been talking about it for a long time. I've got to actually do something with it. Wow. But you have what it takes. You have it. You may feel tired, but boy, there's something in you that's going to power you up. He says it's essential to have an open mind and sufficient faith to try this experience. So he says nope. Okay. There. The actual method of working is simplicity itself. All you have to do is this: stop thinking about the difficulty. There you go. And if I had time, I would do that stop it thing. But Bob Newhart's stop it thing, just stop it. Just stop it. Stop thinking about the difficulty, whatever it is, and think about God instead. This is the complete rule, and if only you will do this, the trouble, whatever it is, will disappear. It makes no difference what kind of trouble it is. It may be a big thing or a little thing. It may be a concern, health, finance, a lawsuit, a quarrel, an accident, or anything else conceivable. But whatever it is, stop thinking about it and think about God instead. That is all you have to do. That's all. That's all you have to do. No big deal. Stop pre-painting. Stop pre-painting. And I guarantee you probably all of us have been doing some pre-painting. Stop it. I'll share that at another time. And he goes on to say that one of the great mental laws is the law of substitution. This means the only way to get rid of a certain thought is to substitute another one for it. So you can't dismiss a thought directly. You can only do so by substituting another one for it. And so he goes on to say that. So we use this in children, right? Diverting attention. Yeah, we divert their attention. So he says, don't try to form a picture of God, which is impossible. Work by rehearsing everything that you know about God. And so here's some of the things that we know, right? God is love, goodness, expansion, compassion, kindness, hope, truth, peace, joy, abundance, oneness, possibilities, potentialities. How much have we been thinking about this? And it's okay because we've been stuck in the mire, but we're coming up out of the mire because we know the importance of this. We know the importance of this. But you must stop thinking about your trouble, whatever it is. If you're thinking about your difficulty, we're not thinking about God, right? And he says, to be continually glancing over your shoulder in order to see how matters are progressing is fatal because it's thinking of the trouble. And you must think about what we would call these qualities of God. Your object is to drive the thought of the difficulty out of your consciousness for a few moments at least, substituting it for the thought of God. And don't you feel relief in those moments? And isn't that where we want to be? We don't want to be in this angst, do we? We don't want to be in this fear. We don't want to be in this worry. We don't want to live in this anger. We want to feel the relief of remembering and recognizing that God's in the midst of this. That love, even when we can't see it, is in the midst of this. And somebody said this morning, was it you, Kat, something about the mystery of God? Like we really get to live in the mystery right now. Like, whoa, what the heck is happening? What's going to happen, right? But, and I always love the analogy of the boy that when they put him in a room and there was just all this manure in there, and when they went in to check on him, that he's in there, he's throwing the manure up and he's so happy, and they're like, what are you doing? He goes, well, with all this manure in here, there must be a pony in here somewhere. They didn't use the word manure on that, but and it's up to us what we're going to focus on. It's up to us what we're going to claim. It's up to us to start looking for the good and praising that good. It's up to us to start connecting with people that are not like us and having conversations. I know for myself, going back out into my life after Tuesday, people were just kind of nice. I wasn't experiencing negativity from people. I was just experiencing. That's why I really believe that we're ready. We're really ready for this. I just want to tell you that for me, what I have been doing this week is I've just been doing anything I can to protect my energy, and I love it because Karen, you talked about this morning, and and that includes things like just spending time with my husband and my kids and my grandkids, turning off the news for right now. And that's been a big one, is that, I want to be informed, but right now, in order for me to find my way back to center, I need to turn that news off. Just doing some creating and doing some cleaning out and, reading uplifting things and listening to uplifting things, watching poor Paul. I've already turned some Christmas movies on. You got to understand, Paul is like, no Christmas until after Thanksgiving. And he came home from pickleball the other day, and I go, Christmas movies are on, because I'm going to do everything I can to be happy. All right, there you go. Yay. So whatever. And let us be gentle with each other. Let us not judge other people for how they're navigating this experience. Don't put people down if it's taken them a little bit longer to find their way back. Don't put people down for wanting to find levity at this time, because we each need to do whatever we need to do to find our way back to center and to remember again to focus on the qualities of God, on the things that we want to see express in our life, and to stop thinking about the difficulty. Albert Camus said, in the midst of hate, I found there was within me an invincible love. In the midst of tears, I found there was within me an invincible smile. In the midst of chaos, I found there was within me an invincible calm. I realized through it all that in the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. And that makes me happy, for it says no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me there's something stronger, something better, pushing right back. I'm going to share a couple more with you. You must understand that we are not witnessing the end of the world, but rather the beginning of it. What a different way to look at this, right? Take a look around you. The human spirit has never been more alive. The people have never been more awake, and the truth is spreading like wildfire. Keep the faith. Light wins. And the last thing, and the last thing is this. Every day tell yourself this. Keep your heart kind, no matter how dark the world gets. You own only yourself. You can only control your actions. Keep your heart beautiful. The world needs that. And I say it to myself, and that's Najwa Zebian. I don't know if I said that right. I say this a lot, you guys, but now is the time for us to go out there and let our big, bright, beautiful beam of radiant light show, right? We are the change. We've got this. You can do hard things. Love wins. Light will overcome the darkness. And here we are together. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you.
I love me some John Russ. All right. Yeah? Plaid boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they play for you? All right. So today at 1:30, DJ D'Amico will present part 2 of Understanding Your Rising Sun and Moon Signs. Today's class will focus on the moon sign, and all are welcome to join. Next Sunday, the 17th, the class will be held at 12:30, and Eddie Watkins Jr. the Eddie Watkins Jr. concert will take place at 2 p.m. Meditation is tonight at 6 p.m., and it is open to everyone. The Mat Makers meet every Thursday at 10 a.m. This group weaves sleeping mats out of plastic bags, which are then donated to folks who are unsheltered. Their goal is to make 100 mats in 100 days, and they would love your help. So bring a pillow and a blanket and join us next Saturday at 2 p.m. for a Cosmic Gong Journey. This is a unique combination of sonic sound healing and frequency arrangements that target the healing of the mind, body, and spirit. Tickets are $20, and the class is limited to 20 participants. If you've already signed up and need to pay, please stop by the office today. The last day to purchase tickets is this Wednesday. We have a threshold of 12 paid participants by Wednesday, or we'll have to postpone the session. Next Sunday, in the 9:15 New Thought and World Religion Adult Education class, Mary Hilsabeck-Huber will present part 2 of Tears to Triumph, which is based on a book by Marianne Williamson. And we are excited to announce that Eddie Watkins Jr. will be here next Sunday, November 17th. This dude's legit. Yeah. I was kind of hoping I could play with him, but I'm like, I'm a good enough bass player for Eddie Watkins Jr. because Eddie Watkins Jr. plays bass, and Eddie Watkins Jr. is a major bass player. Like he's a monster there. So I'm pleased to announce I will not be playing. This cat is good. He will do the music and the message for our service that morning, and then he will return at 2 p.m. for a concert. Concert tickets are $15. They are a suggested love offering. No one will be turned away, so pay whatever you can. You can purchase tickets on our website or in the office. You need to come to this. Listen, you just need to go ahead and, whatever, again, cancel whatever you're going to do. I don't care. Just come out to this. We have a limited time in this life, and to get to see somebody so fantastic in a setting so intimate is worth your time, worth your while. Please come and see this. Those of you online, stop being online. Come see this. Come see this.
Yeah, he's a great musician, great singer.
Songwriter.
He's toured the world. He's played with jazz and Motown bands, and we are lucky enough to have him writing songs for our little spiritual world, and he's top notch. Yeah.
This is one of those, what are my regrets on my deathbed? This right here. This is a regret. This is a regret you're going to have. Come see this thing. It's going to be good. We'll bring in extra chairs, right? Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Everyone is invited to our annual Friendsgiving potluck on Thanksgiving Day at 1 p.m. This is for our spiritual community, plus anyone else who would like to join us. You can sign up in the foyer with what food you would like to bring, and you can help set up or clean up. Our 8 items in 8 weeks donation drive for our crisis cold weather shelter was a huge success. We have collected 738 hot chocolate packets, 777 oatmeal packets, 273 rolls of toilet paper, 473 cheese and peanut butter cracker packs, 403 cereal and granola bars, 184 cups of soup, 61 pounds of black coffee, which seems like a lot when we only got 273 rolls of toilet paper, but moving on, 270 pounds of sugar. That's right. Let's give it up for that. This is a perfect way to kick off the season, and thank you to all of you, and those of you online, and those of you at home for the donations. We are very, very grateful for that. There will be a celebration of life for Clay Holmes today at 2 p.m. at the Drury University Stone Chapel. So we're getting ready to stand up here and do the prayer for protection. We're getting ready to come into Advent as well. We all know what Advent is. So often we fall upon ritual for comfort. So often we fall upon that to give us a sense of grounding. But so often we don't think about what that actually is. So I encourage you, in these things, when we do our prayer for protection, when we do our statement of faith, when we do our mission statement, think about these words. Don't just stand and say them. Think about them. Let them resonate within you. Become part of that community that Sue talked about. Become part of that. Don't just say the words, feel them. So if you would please stand and join us in our prayer for protection. Together now. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.